I trust you are well.
Registration accepted. You may now proceed through the historical displays in the orientation hall, or continue on to the examination.
In 2150, humanity learned the Earth's magnetosphere would collapse sometime in the next half-century, eliminating all life on the planet. Decisive action was required, but the secure transport of an entire civilization would demand a new kind of cooperation, a new kind of courage, and a new kind of union. Thus, in 2159, the United Colonies were formed to make that journey possible. Just 1 year later, the Galileo, the first of many colony ships, touched down here on Jemison, beginning a new era of human history, the age of the United Colonies.
The exodus from Earth meant more than just the beginnings of the United Colonies. But still, a tremendous undertaking.
From their foundation, the United Colonies strove to provide all their citizens with opportunity, security, and peace. But there were those among the UC that still wanted something more: independence. So in 2161, the UC issued the Centaurus Proclamation, granting UC citizens the right to settle distant worlds and form their own sovereign powers. It wasn't long before the first new faction, the Free Star Collective, was formally organized in 2188, later followed by House Varun, revealing themselves to the universe in 2230.
Of course, this has nothing positive to say about House Varun. I should expect no less from the United Colonies.
It was only in 2230 that the faction known as House Varun first made contact with the rest of the settled systems. Founded by the passengers of a colony ship that had left New Atlantis and disappeared 4 decades earlier, House Varun was a faction unlike any other. A theocracy dedicated wholly to the beliefs of its isolationist founder, Janan Varun. House Varun initially made overtures of peace towards the rest of the settled systems. They claimed their only intention was to spread the word of their god, the Great Serpent. But none could have guessed that this worship might take the form of a bloody war, the Serpent's Crusade. The Freestar Collective was initially founded in 2188, when the citizens of Aquila banded together with the pleasure city of Neon in mutual defense. But in 2194, after the deployment of a UC medical star station in orbit around their world, the citizens of Narion also requested to join the collective. The resulting rise in tensions between the Freestar Collective and UC culminated in the settled system's first intergalactic conflict, the Narion War. Despite a decisive victory by the UC, the colonies permitted the citizens of Narion to join the collective, forming the basis for the fiercely independent union that persists to this day. Beginning in 2240, House Varun forces declared all-out war on the rest of human civilization, initiating the Serpent's Crusade. Over the next 23 years, thousands of Freestar, UC, and independent souls were killed by agents of House Varun in the name of their serpent god. It was only with the death of their founder in 2263 and the succession of his heir Jarek that House Varun finally sued for peace. There remained, however, select members of House Varun who refused to recognize the cessation of hostilities their leaders established. Even after House Varun's mysterious disappearance, these zealots remain a threat to all who encounter them. Their pacification, a goal of all space. Of the many conflicts between the galaxy's factions, none was more brutal than the recent colony war between the UC and the Freestar Collective. Set off by the unauthorized Freestar colonization of Vesta's Pride in 2308, a direct violation of the Nerion Treaty, the colony war spread quickly across the galaxy. Both sides deployed every tool at their disposal. Armadas of warships, mechanized combat platforms, or mechs, even bioengineered alien creatures, the infamous UC xeno-weapons. It was only in 2311 at the Battle of Cheyenne that the scales finally tipped. The Freestar Collective, utilizing their civilian fleet as a human shield, successfully crippled the superior United Colonies' navy. After their shocking victory against the galaxy's greatest navy, the Freestar Collective offered terms of peace, which the colonies, out of an interest in staving off any further human costs, accepted. The galaxy has been rebuilding ever since.
I suspect many in the Freestar Collective would take issue with the way the colony war is represented here.
Few settled worlds were left untouched by the colony war. But nowhere could the viciousness of modern warfare be seen more clearly than on the Freestar planet of Nira. Initially occupied by invading United Colonies forces as a forward operating position, repeated attempts to take and retake the planet by collective forces led only to devastation. Swaths of the world were transformed into scorched husks, a nightmarish testament to the depths of human ingenuity and human cruelty. And today, Nira remains a continuing reminder to the horrors of unfettered war. Of the colony war, a different kind of tragedy struck the UC city of Londinian. A newly constructed but critical supply center for the United Colonies' war effort, Londinian found itself overrun by one of the galaxy's most mysterious predators, the Terramorph. A rare but pervasive threat to all human-settled worlds, Terramorphs swept over the city seemingly out of nowhere on a scale never before seen in recorded history. Valiant efforts by the UC military slowed the onslaught, but the creatures proved unstoppable. Ultimately, the decision was made to destroy the Londinian spaceport, sealing off the city, the outbreak, and its citizenry from the galaxy at large. The tragedy of Londinian is mourned by the UC to this day.
I really hope this is just a phase.
After the devastation wrought by the colony war, the UC and the Freestar Collective came together to ratify a treaty that became known as the Armistice. Both sides agreed to a vast reduction in standing forces, and that xeno-weapons and mech warfare would be outlawed. All related research was sealed away, accessible only in cases of dire emergency. But the Collective had another demand, that the active commanders of the UC military stand trial for their actions. The United Colonies, in the interest of peace and galactic security, agreed. In 2311, 3 United Colonies senior officers were found guilty. Commander Henry Durant, General Indira Rastogi, and Fleet Admiral Francois Sanon, known better as Vae Victus. All were sentenced to death for their actions, bringing the colony war to a close and returning peace to the galaxy at long last.
After everything, it is almost impossible to believe that the armistice happened. But I admit I am glad it did. Settled systems have benefited.
Hi. How you doing?
It was into this new world that the Vanguard was born. An official branch of the UC Navy, the Vanguard is the United Colonies Volunteer Fleet, serving a myriad of security, logistical, and reconnaissance roles. And after a sufficient length of service, UC citizenship is guaranteed to every Vanguard member. Open to all captains, regardless of origin, the Vanguard is leading the charge to protect and support the citizens of the United Colonies, wherever in the galaxy they may be. No one is born a United Colonies citizen. Only through service to the UC can one hope to earn one's citizenship. But the UC prides itself on taking care of its people. Cost of living controls mean citizens pay less than their foreign counterparts for needs big and small. All citizens are issued a grant upon joining to get themselves on their feet. And only UC citizens have the opportunity to purchase property, getting the chance to live in one of the most beautiful cities in the settled systems. By joining the Vanguard today, you too can begin earning your place here, in the heart of galactic civilization, as a citizen of the United Colonies.
You could not pay me enough to get in one of those things.
Ah, you must be our new applicant. I'm Proctor Samuelson. The simulator's already been prepped. You can head in whenever you're ready. Of course, you'll be running through a high-realism combat flight simulation, engineered by members of the UC science staff, right here in Mast. Your task is to defeat at least 3 tiers of simulated opponents. Accomplish that and you pass the exam, and can then proceed on to your probationary mission. However, if you defeat more than 3 tiers of enemies, your required enlistment time for citizenship will be reduced, and your enlistment bonus increased. But you're welcome to try as many times as you like before returning to Commander Tuala to proceed on to the next step in your application process. We'll only keep the highest score you manage to achieve in there. While I can't answer that question directly, I will say this. Due to the solitary nature of our work, resourcefulness is a critical tool in any Vanguard pilot's repertoire. You're permitted, even encouraged, to use whatever tool you're able to find in there. The simulator is designed to be a near-perfect replica of a Class B Deimos hoplite, the United Colonies' standard destroyer model. It's been tuned to provide a challenging but fair fight against the enemy squadrons you'll encounter inside. Just head in whenever you're ready. This is the Mark 18 Flight Simulation Chamber applicant. currently in orbit around a high-detail recreation of a remote world. When you're ready to begin, please take a seat in the pilot's chair. Your exam is simple. Defeat as many tiers of opponents as you can before your ship is disabled. You must defeat at least 3 tiers of opponents to pass the exam. Good hunting, applicant.
New targets active.
Target defeated.
All targets eliminated. Progress recorded. Tier 1 reached. Initiating Tier
Congratulations, applicant. You've passed. Good showing in there, applicant.
Only those on official United Colonies business can access the building.
Well, look who's back. Everything go all right with the exam? Or did you have some questions you needed answered first? Me? 6, 7 years now? Was a recon squad commander in a former life, so it wasn't too big a jump bossing around foreign pilots instead. But Vanguard's been a quality assignment. Meet new people, judge them on a series of diverse criteria, get them out there helping people who need it. MASS is short for Military, Administrative, and Scientific Triumvirate. From here, the 3 co-equal divisions of the UC government work together to advance the cause of the colonies. Be that through mutual defense, political and diplomatic strength, or scientific discovery. Now, serving any of the UC's divisions grants citizenship. The scientific and admin positions in the UC tend to be real competitive. Understandable, most people would prefer to earn their citizenship behind a desk rather than in combat. Not something I'd ever choose for myself, but understandable. Military used to have a pretty narrow view of where the best pilots came from. In their eyes, it was UC or bust. The creation of the Vanguard was an acknowledgement by the brass that maybe not all the galaxy's greatest pilots went through a UC flight school. So it's the Vanguard's job to find them and get them to fly for us. Ah, so these are your numbers that just came through then. You ready to hear how you did? Well, let's get to it then. So, looking at the data, hit every mural in the orientation hall, huh? A test of preparation and thoroughness. 2 traits the Vanguard values highly. Psychological results are all within expected levels. Navy doesn't have room for folks that'll fall apart the first time they're trying to outrun a homing missile. Now, how'd you do against your foes? Tier 6. You cleared Tier 6. No one clears Tier 6. I should be damn proud of yourself.
Well done. You seem to have impressed them.
So then, looking at your results as a whole, and presuming you're successful in completing your probationary mission, you could have your UC citizenship after only just 3 years. Guess a top 99th percentile piloting score will do that, plus a hefty signing bonus to boot. Not gonna get a better offer than that.
I suppose if UC citizenship is a reward that matters to you, you should be quite pleased.
Sounds like you're just the type of pilot the Vanguard's looking for. If you're interested, we could bring you on as a provisional member today. Get you the credits you've earned, then send you out on your probationary mission. First though, all UC service people, provisional or otherwise, are required to swear an oath. So, you want to make this official? Commit yourself to the cause of the colonies? Fantastic. Then just follow me.
You know, I went to chef school. This ain't exactly where I saw myself.
Wouldn't be right doing this where we couldn't see the stars. Now, raise your right hand. The motto of the Vanguard is Supra et Ultra, above and beyond. That is where we serve, beyond the furthest reaches of the United Colonies military, and with honor and duty above reproach. Do you swear to protect and defend the citizens of the United Colonies to the best of your abilities, and to uphold the values of the Vanguard, honor, loyalty, self-reliance, in all your actions as a member of the United Colonies Navy? Then let me be the first to officially welcome you to the United Colonies Vanguard. Now, only thing left is getting you that probationary mission. And what I've got is comms repair. Group trying to refurb an old colony war processing plant on Pt22. Sounds like they'd barely gotten set up when their communications died. Place is as isolated as they come, so Brass wants a Vanguard to deliver the repair suite and ensure anyone present is safe and secure. So, can the people of Pt22 count on you? That's the spirit. Head down to the spaceport and talk to Crew Chief Harath. He'll get you the repair suite plus your new recruit kit. Oh, and your advance. Give it your all out there. Supra et Ultra. Head down to the spaceport and speak to Crew Chief Harath. He'll get you where you need to go. Not sure there's actually a lot to tell. It's only had people on it for 20-odd years. UC set up a food processing facility there during the Colony War. But when the war was over, it was too remote to justify the fuel costs. The report mentioned some settlers bought the facility from the Ag office for next to nothing a couple of years back. See, if they couldn't make the place efficient enough to be profitable, I wouldn't be shocked to find out one of their upgrades knocked out their comms. But the place is a hike. So it well could be pirates or spacers have finally realized there are actually people out there now, which is why they're sending us.
If we can avoid entering that building, I would prefer it. Let us just say I am allergic to bureaucracy. New Atlantis puts on a wonderful show of security.
Shocked she managed to limp back here at all. Bullet for leeches, get it fixed up, and let her know we'll have it ready as soon as we can. Yes, sir.
Ah, you are new probationary then? Crew Chief Harath, pleasure to be working with you.
It's my job to make sure all you rocket jockeys are ready for anything that comes at you up there. Now, Manifest says we're fitting you out with one comms repair suite.
In addition to the standard issue welcome kit all probationary pilots get for their first mission. Med packs, some small arms, couple spare ship parts, all the essentials in case of any surprises up there.
My people will have everything on your ship before you lift off. Won't even know they were there. So, paying a visit to the people of scenic Pt22. Nice easy one for your first job. Just keep your head on swivel and you'll come home safe. Any questions before you head out? I honestly didn't realize it had people living on it until we got your record.
Report they gave us seemed clean. No known hostile outposts. But I wouldn't say that's permission to let your guard down. Just watch out for wildlife and pirates. Keep those med packs handy and you'll be fine. Nothing too dangerous, if that's your concern. The repair suite's mostly just wiring and circuit boards. The welcome kit has some goodies in there I wouldn't leave sitting around when company comes to visit. But it's nothing some proper storage can't make safe.
Then I won't keep you.
Make us look good out there, recruit. Back already? You look like you've seen a ghost. There's some questions I can answer for you?
Seems unusually quiet here. That is rarely a good sign.
Either I got hit harder than I thought, or you've got some incredible timing. Regardless, I think it knows you're here. I'll unlock the door. Second floor, main building. But be quiet.
So what do we got here? It's too clean to be one of the settlers. Or a pirate. You see on patrol, maybe? Yeah, make my day if you said you were a shock trooper out for a stroll. Vanguard, huh? Yeah, I expect they didn't. I'm Hadrian. I was a researcher with the UC. I came here on a rumor of a... Well, I expect you saw the results on your way in. What's left of the settlers? The work of Oxysio Machina. A terramorph. One of the nastiest aliens humanity's ever crossed paths with. And this one, well, it's something of an anomaly. Possibly a worrying one.
A terramorph? Here? Why did you not state that immediately? They are death made manifest.
Suppose that's a pretty good summary. Among apex predators, they're the pinnacle. Resilient, agile, smart, and their mental prowess only increases with age. Some can even dominate the minds of weaker species, keeping them as pets, livestock, or toys. They're creatures without peer. Terramorphs have a unique growth cycle. They're usually only found on worlds that have been long colonized by humanity. But Tao said he's too young to have one. Yet here it is. I came looking for an explanation and found all this. I managed to scope out a fair bit of the facility before it found me. If there are any survivors of the attack, they're long gone. I sure could. Because to confirm my suspicions about this creature, I'm gonna need a tissue sample from it. And to get that, I need its corpse. But there is a way we can give ourselves an edge against this thing. The plant security system. The admin terminal's here in this building, but it needs its connection reset. And as I found out, that's not a one-person job. But if you can make it to the security outpost and restore the connection, I think I can get things back online. See if the settlers left us any other tools. The settlers outfitted most of the buildings with turrets at some point. Not sure how many are still operable, but at least a few appeared to be in fighting shape. There were also some sensors scattered around the facility that I didn't recognize. But those are honestly all just educated guesses until we get the connection reset. It's the building in the middle of the facility. The terminal in there should allow you to grant me access to the system as a whole. Then we can see about getting things back online. Good. Once I see the connection reset, I'll get things underway on my end. Take care of yourself out there. And make sure you leave enough of that thing for us to get a sample. Connection restored. I'll make this quick. Plant's turrets took a beating, but I should be able to get you a couple of kill lanes. Just get the thing to chase you down the alleys between the buildings, and you'll lead it right into a crossfire. Hello. Wish I'd found this earlier. Those sensors around the facility? Part of a livestock tracking system. Should let you keep tabs on how close the terramorph is. Not connected to this network. There should be a terminal in the adjoining room. Tune it to 183.5.
A curious place for an industrial hacking operation. There must have been a good incentive for them to locate here. Always worth checking. Never know what you might find in their pockets.
Tracker's reading green. What's that sound?
Security lockdown is active.
Shit. Stop. Stop whatever you're doing and get in cover. It's on the move. Look, I wouldn't engage directly if you can avoid it. The kill lanes, they're set up but need power. There's breakers on each of the buildings you can throw to get them live. Once they're online, lead the terramorph towards the lights and watch the fireworks. Give it hell, Vanguard.
Curious place for an industrial hacking operation. There must have been a good incentive for them to locate here.
Power levels insufficient. Proceed to next power breaker. clear. Additional power input required. Local defenses restored. Additional power required. Weapon group online.
As a trophy?
Trekker's gone quiet. I suspect it's either hiding or... Wait. You did it, didn't you? Heavens above! You just flatlined a terramorph! Oh, yeah. Taken care of. No big deal. You didn't happen to grab me a tissue sample, did you? All right. I spotted a microscope downstairs. Let's see if we can't get to the bottom of this.
Best not to leave anything useful behind.
Older model. Let's see what you can do. Running basic diagnostics? Nothing. Maybe a flax can? No. Spectrograph. Damn. This equipment, it's not set up to do a proper analysis of our sample. But this terramorph being here, of all places, it doesn't make sense. Humanity's spread plenty of creatures in our travels across the stars. Pets, livestock, pests. But terramorphs? They're different. To our knowledge, no one's ever spread them intentionally. Yet somehow, they follow us. So when humans settle a world, 70 to 100 years later, terramorphs tend to just appear. No one knows how or why. Dangerous, but at least predictable. Tau Ceti, though, it's too young to have a native population. It's only been colonized 20 years? But then the other option, Someone captured one of the deadliest predators in the galaxy just to wipe out some settlers minding their own business? That seems awfully implausible. Which means we're either looking at a truly strange murder or a faster type of terramorph growth, the results of which could be catastrophic. Terramorph outbreaks have taken down far bigger colonies than this one. They have. They even took down an entire city once. A place called Londinian had to be quarantined due to a massive outbreak during the Colony War. It's the only known loss of that scale, but it's the reason why any change in our relationship with these creatures needs to be taken very seriously. Well, they're not exactly buying tickets and flying coach. The theory is that they're spread by some kind of egg or seed that's able to evade our detection. But how the hell an undetectable egg turns into a terramorph without anyone noticing is a question no one's ever found an answer to. And it's why what's happened here could be real bad news for the rest of human civilization. There is. I mean, there has to be. We just have to find it. Time was, I had access to one of the best repositories of terramorph research in the galaxy. Seems a natural place to start looking, if I can figure how to access it. But we also need to get this sample properly analyzed, get confirmation on just how concerned we should be. Luckily, I think I know just the person to help with the sample. What would you say to delivering this to him for me? I'd do it myself, but I need to call in some favors. See if I can't get access to that terramorph data. Plus, maybe just pop by a hospital for a little bit. Clear it with your commander first if you have to. You can even show them this. My gene tag. Tell them Hadrian Sanan is worried there could be more attacks on the horizon. They should recognize the name. I was. Long time ago. Family tradition. But I know some of the folks from my old unit moved into the Vanguard. A couple even owe me favors. If I'm lucky, your commander is one of them. Oh, you don't understand what a weight off my shoulders that is. I need Dr. Percival Walker to put together a sample analysis for this thing. Full workup. He'll know what that means. I'm not sure exactly where to find him, but last I heard he was contracting with the Trade Authority on Mars. There's a place called the Sixth Circle in Sidonia. A bar run by some old friends. I'll meet you and Percival there. And here. It's not exactly a bounty, but you certainly deserve them. Should cover the cost to fuel to Mars, at least. Now please, go check in with your commander. We need to know what we're dealing with. I wish I had more information on Percival. It's been a long time since I've seen him. But was there something you needed? Percival and I worked together for years. He was an alien researcher like me. A scintillating mind, but not what you'd call a people person. What he's doing working for an organization with other human beings, like the Authority, is anyone's guess. But if there's anyone who will be able to tell us definitively if that sample is trouble or not, it's him. Courier handed me a slate. Guess someone had picked up a strange signal on a flyby. Thought I might want to check it out. Presumably the same person reported the disturbance to the Vanguard. Never did end up getting their name, though. Was my job to know all the nasty critters of the universe for a while. Terramorphs included. I don't do it professionally anymore, though.
Is the city meant to inspire or intimidate? Perhaps it depends on your reason for being here.
Look who's back. All set with that probationary mission? We can do your debrief and formally welcome you into the Vanguard whenever you're ready. A terror? What? How did you walk away with the terramorph tissue sample running comms repairs? What happened to the settlers? A gene tag? Let me see that. Sanan. I know that name. Let me check the database. Huh. A lot of this data's been classified. Here we go. Service record. Wow. That's a lot of commendations. Seems like she served with distinction as co-head of a UC Xenoweapons division. Faced tribunal at the end of the Colony War. And was dismissed from duty. Guess that's why I'd heard the name before. If she's former Xeno warfare, though, well, we can at least be sure she knows her aliens. In the run-up to the Colony War, the UC started a program with a singular goal. Find the deadliest, most terrifying aliens in the galaxy, and have them fight on the side of the UC. Never saw any of the deployments myself, but the program was clearly enough of a success that when the war came to an end 20 years ago, both sides agreed to have the practice banned. At which point, I presume, this tribunal decided to cut Sanan loose. I'm sure she doesn't list it at the top of her resume, but considering her service record and her area of expertise, I'm not seeing a reason to think this request is anything other than genuine. Did your survivor, Hadrian, did she mention why she thinks this sample's so special? I see. Well, this is one of the more surprising debriefs I've ever been a part of. But if Hadrian Sanan thinks this sample needs to get to Mars, then we're gonna make sure it gets to Mars. I'll take care of the clearances and ensure you get your credits. Consider these your first official orders. And here, so everyone knows you're working with the Vanguard. Welcome to the Navy, Captain. Vanguard's also got some custom ship modifications. You'll be cleared for access to them next time you're down at the spaceport. Talk to ship services. Now, if there wasn't anything else, I suggest you move out. I'll handle things with the brass. You just make sure that sample gets to Mars. It doesn't. But if that's who that sample is destined for, my bet he's former UC Xeno warfare, just like Hadrian. Only what's in the database. She ran the UC Xeno warfare group until she was dismissed at the end of the Colony War, and they banned the practice. The type of person who, if they hand you a strange sample of alien tissue, you do exactly what they ask, preferably with gloves on. There was also a pretty infamous Admiral Sanan, known as Victus, that was executed after the Colony War. Not sure if there's any relation, though. That section of the database is above my pay grade.